Hello and welcome to another edition of Josh Wants to Talk About Movies. I'm so sorry, Chorus, that we had to do this video. I thought it'd be some great viewership and I think it was in our wheelhouse to talk about it, but I am so incredibly sorry.
10 years I've gone without seeing this movie. 10 years without knowing the pain. That is The Last Airbender.
Adaptation. It's a hard thing to do, especially if you're trying to adapt something that is well beloved by a numerous amount of audiences. It can be great, it can be bad, please be good, please be good. But today we're talking about an adaptation that took the world by storm in probably the worst way imaginable.
It takes a very special type of creation to not just piss off the fans, but to piss off everyone that actually watched it.
Of course, we were talking about M. Night Shyamalan's The Last Airbender, Book 1, Water. So Avatar, The Last Airbender follows a similar story to the first season of Avatar, which is...
it's a copy-paste, basically.
Basically, it's a copy-paste. It follows two Inuit, white characters named Sokka and Katara. Sokka Katana.
Because all the names are mispronounced here in this movie. Or no, they're not mispronounced. They're more reflective of Asian pronunciations. They want to be more realistic, but still cast white people to all the main roles anyway.
And all the bad people are played by people of brown skin color. We know that is clearly a sign of progress. It follows two characters as they discover a boy in the iceberg. It's a good title for something. They find out he's the last of a large collective culture called the Airbenders. And not only is he the last Airbender, he is also somebody called the Avatar. If you want to watch Chorus and I talk about the actual show, Avatar: The Last Airbender, we actually have a video right up here.
That's something you actually want to hear us talk about. Because it's worth talking about. Unlike this, where it's just us cringing for what's probably going to be 30 minutes.
It's a very different experience, especially for me, because as of recently, I just watched the show. So coming back to watch The Last Airbender movie... different lens for me entirely. So I know exactly what was left out and what was kept in, what was changed. And for Chorus, weirdly enough, this is your first time watching the movie. I grew up with the series.
I grew up with the series. I watched it when it first came out.
Right.
I knew the movie was going to be trash, so I stayed away. And continued to stay away until my good friend Josh decided he wanted to make a video. So here I am, being a very good friend.
Chorus, what was your first impressions of the movie when you saw it?
So I had to do one thing as soon as I watched this movie. I had to look up how much it was cost to make.
Sure.
Now, I had to look up how much it was cost, because the whole movie looks cheap as fuck.
It does have a very, low budget feel to it, especially if you look at, the CG at the time. A lot of it seemed very limiting, especially with the animal characters. Appa,
Momo, they're basically not in this movie. Don't even look for them.
It's so hard to shoot them apparently because they're just it seemed like they're non-existent within the story.
All the bending was terrible. They do this really just weird thing where it's when the original it's okay, motion. The element moves.
Yeah.
This one, it's you have to do a fully choreographed dance routine.
It's
just for one little bit of motion.
It's like a Mortal Kombat finishing move. You got to go up X, L, 2, A, B.
Yeah, but at least with that you get to do something cool at the end. This one, it's okay, raise rock. But I was also gonna say the story itself. Because there's good and bad ways to do an adaptation. I could accept it okay, we're gonna adapt all of season 1. I think that's a bad choice to do for a movie, but I can still accept it. But then they still want okay, no. There are some episodes that we really want to tell, but we don't have the time to tell it, so we're gonna do basically the speedrun version of okay, Avatar Kyoshi, she existed, bye. Oh, we helped a bunch of towns. Montage them all, bye. Then it's that's the entire movie in a nutshell.
Here's the Northern Air Temple, alright, we're done with that.
It's just high speed. I'm okay, do you want to make this movie about the entire season or not? Because you're not doing a good job.
That critique also kind of applies to Aang and Katara's relationship, because a lot of the time when Aang and Katara are talking, it's Aang, we gotta do something. And Aang's I gotta do something real quick. Bye! Aang, we gotta train you for water stuff. I gotta go to the Northern Air Temple real quick. Bye!
And the fact that you forgot Sokka just is a testament to the amazing acting of Jasper from
Twilight.
Because I actually had to Google the rest of this cast. I was this was no one's big break. But I'm this feels like all these people were able to get this gig because they had a friend somewhere else. Because Jasper was in Twilight, Soka was in Twilight.
Mm-hmm.
Katara is an actress. She was in Transformers.
After this movie. And then the kid for Aang, you know what other movie he did right after this?
He was in another movie?
Yeah. Cowboys and Aliens, the Harrison Ford movie.
No.
Yeah, he's in that movie.
Real? Oh my god.
That's the last thing I think I remember seeing him in anything.
I forget that movie exists.
I did too.
Harrison Ford was in that, wasn't he?
Yeah. Guess who was the main character in that movie?
Daniel Craig?
Daniel Craig.
I feel so bad for that movie. Just because, like, you have an amazing cast right there, and it's like, let's do nothing. Let's make a very bad comic book adaptation.
I don't know. It was just such a weird movie because it didn't know what it wanted to be because it was like, all right, we're gonna do some comedy. Also horror elements with the aliens. Also generic looking ass aliens. You can see how much of an impact Avatar: The Last Airbender had on us because I'm more interested in cowboys and aliens now.
I've never seen it, but I'm just like, oh, I want to talk about that, not this shit. We also need to talk about the fucking cast because it's looking pretty white. And this what kills me. The alleged story I've heard is that Katara, like some producer wanted Katara in the movie. So he's like, okay, well, Katara, this girl's white, so we gotta make Sokka white.
Right.
And then Aang is white because it's a U.S. movie.
Sure.
And to be honest, when I was a kid, I did not realize that Aang was Tibetan. Then especially when he grows up in Korra.
Yes.
He looks 100% white in there.
Yeah.
He does not look Asian in the slightest.
Yeah.
But that's side.
And then her grandma has to be white too.
Yeah, the grandma. So this core family, all of these white people, it's like, okay, Water Tribe is white, but that's not the case.
No.
That's what threw me, because I knew that Katara and Sokka were all white. I knew the grandmother was white. I knew Aang was white. But I was like, okay, Water Tribe is now white. The Fire Nation is Indian. I was like, okay, I can accept this. You're just completely changing around. I don't like it, but whatever. But then you look at the background.
It's all Inuit.
It's all Inuit, or I'm not going to even assume that they're Inuit. I wouldn't know myself.
For sure.
But they're definitely not white. So you're telling me of this Water Tribe, of all these Inuit people, the only ones that got to go on this special adventure were the white family?
Were the white people.
What the fuck is going on? I'm like, if you're going to commit, don't do this pandering like, oh no, there's still like more, there's other people, and I'm like,
What's interesting is that in the Northern Water Tribe, there's like a lot more white people there too.
Yeah.
But it's just like only Southern Water Tribe. It's like, all right, so.
Okay. These people. This is only going to take about 3. They're only going to be screened for 2 seconds. We can cast.
Sure. Yeah.
The pronunciations are all wrong. Well, they're not wrong, but they're different from the show. Aang is Ong. Iroh is Iro. Which I actually don't mind that one as much. I was like, I think it has a good sound to it.
I don't know. Iroh kind of has a little bit more weight to it.
It does, but then like Sokka is
Suka.
Avatar, the name of the show.
Avatar.
At this point, you're just trying to piss me off. It's not consistent either. Because you'll have actors say the Avatar in one scene, and then Avatar the next. I'm like, they couldn't even be consistent. Because then I looked it up, like, why is this like this?
Yeah.
They interviewed M. Night Shyamalan about this. He was like, oh, I want to be more authentic, realistic, because that's more what Asian pronunciations of the names. And I was like, oh, you want to be more authentic? You want to be more realistic, more respectful to the traditions and culture? Why the fuck you cast the white people in the main roles, Shyamalan? Like, if the studio's making you do this, just wink twice.
Do you know if in the Netflix adaptation that they're gonna do, if it's gonna be like have they released a cast list?
They have not.
Okay, I'm curious what that. I mean, I think this movie is probably gonna inspire some execs to do the right thing this time around, but we'll see.
They're not. They already fired the original creators who said like, we have 2 different visions.
Yeah.
And a big rumor that I've been hearing, just like correlations, because Netflix has been like doing a lot of, or Nick has been posting a lot of like, oh, top 10 your favorite Zutara moments.
Oh, no.
Like, we got you, fam. I'm like, they're gonna make an actual love triangle out of this.
No.
They're gonna age. Everyone's gonna be like 20-something-year-olds, and it's all gonna be about like, oh, it's gonna be Riverdale, where everyone is trying to fuck, and that's just not okay unless it's Sokka, because that boy, he definitely fucked in the original show. He definitely fucked. Now, this is the only character I feel like that I'm okay with that.
I don't want to watch Aang fuck people. It's not fun. I don't want that. Let's go through a really fast bit. What did you like?
Okay, I liked
I'll start. There are some really cool shots that I really liked. Specifically, anything that was kind of just a still shot in a certain actor. Like when Aang lifts the tidal wave, I thought there were some really good shots with that. Nice crescendo with music. In that last battle bit when Aang's like fighting some people, there's some nice cool slow-mo moves that he does with that. Him hiding from Zuko, like in that Tom and Jerry looking routine where he hides. That's kind of fun, creative camera work. I like that. There's a shot in the Northern Air Temple where the guy turns in Aang and he like backs away and there's like a sea of like firebenders like spouting out from behind him through the doorway, and one of them gives him money. Like that shot specifically I really liked. So there's a couple of good shots that I just really liked throughout the film where I'm like, okay, that's nice, that's cool. For me, I don't know, I thought the music was nice. It wasn't, I mean, it's pretty generic, but
I thought it was John Williams light. It felt like it was trying really hard to be Star Wars.
I at least appreciated the effort to make it at least sound in a sense John Williams and not, I don't know. I thought it was nice. I mean, it wasn't like terrible, and I at least remembered it. So
I don't.
It at least had some...
I watched it last night. I don't remember the music.
Anything else? I guess I love Dave Patel as Zuko, and
I like Dave Patel. I don't think the script does him. The script is so awful, and he's doing the best he can.
Well, I'm talking about Dave Patel specifically as what he's doing. Like he definitely puts dignity to the Zuko role and is like trying to do what he can with what he has. And same with him and Iroh. The actor who plays Iroh, I think that dynamic works with what they were given.
Basically, if all the Indian actors do a really good job for what they're given. Personally, of all the actors, I feel like I like Zhao the most. Just because it's not Zhao from the show, but the actor is trying to do his own thing with the character.
It's very distinct. It's a different version, and that's at least something you can appreciate.
Yeah, at least you can tell that guy is trying to. He's the one who's giving the bad script, and he's giving the best performance with it. Anything else you like? Because I have one thing that I can say I liked.
I don't know. I guess I like how we translated some of the images from the show to the big screen, but that's like, all right, you made it match, good job. So what is the one thing you liked about the movie?
Okay, so it's not the actors.
Yeah.
Even though I say I appreciate Zhao, I appreciate Dave Patel, I appreciate the actor that plays Iroh.
Yeah.
But the one thing I feel like I gotta give credit to is I actually really like the costume design for the Fire Nation.
Interesting.
It's one thing is like, I don't feel like this is from the show, but I just really did. I think like they're very nice outfits.
They made it their own thing.
I was like, I kind of love the Fire Lord's like whole thing, how it looks like it's armor type going around his waist. Like, this feels like a fusion of like something from our like maybe like more Eastern Indian attire.
Some kind of culture, yeah.
I was like, this has a very good vibe to it. I was like, I like this. I can appreciate this.
Mm-hmm.
But that's it, because I feel like Aang's costume is terrible. I don't like Sokka or Katara's look. So when I say it has good costume design, I only am talking about the Fire Nation.
I will say, gotta give him props for at least remembering Katara's necklace and then also not bringing it up. Like, they could have spent like another good 20 minutes talking about the necklace and the importance of it, but they brought it in for, costume purposes, and they at least remembered, so that's nice.
You know what I thought was super disappointing to me? I didn't like Aang's tattoo that he has in the movie, because I will remember the first time I ever saw a trailer for The Last Airbender.
Right.
I was going to go see Wolverine Origins.
Nice. So you're already disappointed.
I really liked that movie the first time I saw it.
Well,
I was dumb in middle school, man. Don't blame me.
We're but like, here.
I thought, I was like, wow, that's a really interesting. I thought it was a cool design. I thought it was like super cool. Then you barely notice it when it's in the movie.
Nah.
Because like it's so light on his skin.
Yeah.
You can't really I feel like they should have gone darker or blue, like a darker blue.
Yeah.
To make it pop. Because as it is,
it just blends with the skin. His shaved hair is more pronounced than his tattoo.
And that's super disappointing to me. I was like, if you're gonna have because it is a good design, I think, for if you're gonna try to monitor what would
make it realistic.
Yeah. I was like, I think that was the way to go, but
right.
You just don't notice it. You can always notice the shaved hair, like you said, but the tattoo, it's you can't tell.
Now we'll get into the nitty-gritty of what I don't like. And that mostly is just kind of what you reiterated already, was just we gotta speed through this story. It's not telling a story, it's we gotta speed through the story as fast as you can. Because I believe this movie from the runtime is around 90 to 100 minutes, which is very bold to do for an adaptation of a 13 episode season. Trying to condense that down.
I think it's like 20.
20 episode season, condense it down to its most important parts in less than 100 minutes. There's not a lot of breathing room because it's just like
there's no breathing room.
We found the boy unconscious. We're gonna take him to our hut. Are you okay? Yeah. All right. Bye. And then he's our responsibility.
The first hour, the first 2 episodes are condensed in what is roughly about 9 minutes.
Yeah, but it's like the main motivation for Sokka and Katara is like, you know, that they developed a relationship with Aang. In the movie, it's like, are you okay? Yeah, I'm cool. Bye.
He's gone. It's like, we found him in there. He's our responsibility. I'm like, you have no attachment to this guy. It's like, you don't have a reason to go risk your life.
And then it's just like, one thing that people love about the show is the relationship between these characters. And it's just like, in the movie, it's just non-existent throughout the entire thing. It's just like, all right, we got to go point A, point B. We got to do a thing, and we got to find this other thing. Oh, you need training. Okay, we got to train. Like, there's no talking. I don't think Aang really knows anything about... I don't think she even told Aang about her dead mom.
I think you're right.
I don't think he knows anything about Katara.
Okay, here's a question. Do they ever talk about anything that isn't plot related?
That's the thing. I don't think they do. It's just like they leave no breathing room.
I don't think they ever discuss anything that isn't exposition.
And they don't even need exposition, because you and I, last time we talked about Avatar, was just like how the world is so vast and interesting that they don't even explain it. Mm-hmm. And that's what makes it so interesting. Cut to the complete opposite in this movie, where it's like, I need to... as you remember from the great library that I invaded, there's the scrolls that have helped me find the truth behind the moon and the moon and water spirits, and we can defeat the blah 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 blah. Mm-hmm. I don't care. I do not care. Just, like... Tell me who this guy is, and like let him explore what his character is like through his actions. I don't need him to tell me why he's doing the thing.
And there's so many scenes like that. The one that killed me was like Zuko to explain his backstory.
Oh my god!
Really like looks at a kid.
Oh my god!
Do you know the story of Prince Zuko like hiding his face? He's like, didn't he get the scar from his dad when
he's like, wrong. He's like, no, he was trying to help soldiers that were gonna get killed.
I'm like, in every scene that wants to talk about backstory is like that, where it's like, do you know about this? And that's like, can describe every scene.
Do you remember when Zhao was like, as you know, Prince Zuko has been banished by his father, and I'm going to insult him in front of all of you people while also telling the backstory. I'm like, why is this happening? What is going on? The whole thing is show, don't tell. That's the one thing you learn when you do writing is... Film is a visual medium. We learn things through visuals. That's different from books. Because we have eyes, we can tell, we can see. But most of the time it's just like, oh, your son died in the invasion of Ba Sing Se. Yes.
Sorry about that.
Sucks to be you, bro. Like, what is this? Like, that moment specifically, what do I gain out of that?
It feels like, we can't leave anything out to offend the fans. But they only leave like, they get lines like, yes, this still exists in this world, but then they keep moving forward. So then you just get nothing out of it.
Like I mentioned before with like the invasion of the library. How much more interesting would it be if we just saw Zhao in the library and he like, I have it. And then it's just like cut to something else and you're like, that's mystery. I want to know what he has. What has he got? He's got something that can give him an edge. But no, he explains all of it.
The fast travel thing is also insane in this movie.
It seemed like it was just not even a problem to get to the Northern Water Tribe or whatever.
It's not just that, because like you have Zhao who's out at sea tracking Aang.
Oh yeah.
But then he will continually pop back to the Fire Lord to then give him an update to then narrate what the Avatar is doing. And he does that like 4 times. He is out not in the Fire Nation, will then pop back to the Fire Nation, then go back out. I don't know how he's moving at this speed.
You know what's funny is that the only reference to time that we have, at least from what I remember, is one moment we're in the Northern Water Tribe and it's Sokka and what's her name, white hair. Why do I keep forgetting her name? Moon Girl.
Well, her actual name is Yue.
Yue.
You can just call her Penis Head because that's what her hair looks like.
But like she goes up to Sokka and she's like, these past few weeks have been great together, Sokka. And it's like, wait, weeks? Like, how long have we been here?
There's no sense of time in this movie. It's completely gone.
Oh, like when Aang goes to the water temple, or water tribe, and then he's like learning water bending, like the first thing he does is like, they discuss strategy with like the head chief dude. It's like, slow down. Like, you guys have not talked at all. Like, Aang's just visited you guys. He has no sense of relationship with anybody.
We met the princess of the Northern Water Tribe. She and my brother became
good friends. Okay, I'm glad you told me that. I would have never guessed.
Just show them together.
I don't.
You don't need these lines. It spends 90% of its runtime explaining the movie.
It surprises me how much of it was just like, all right, so this is Aang. He was the last Avatar. He ran away, and so he was a little bit scared about being the Avatar.
Something about spirits. Fire Nation doesn't respect the spirits. There's some library we raided.
You know what this is? This is not an adaptation of Avatar: Last Airbender. This is an adaptation of the Avatar Wikipedia page.
That's so true.
It's just like, scroll plot synopsis. All right, I think we have the movie. All right, let's do it, guys. So another big issue I had in the movie was that, at least from my perspective, I don't know if you felt the same. Aang has no agency.
No.
I don't know if you noticed this.
None. That's why there's a spirit dragon that literally will tell him what he has to do every time there's a possibility he needs to make a decision.
It's like that's his Roku apparently, and it's just like, you know, in the show, you know, Aang didn't want to be the Avatar, and that, you know, that was kind of his arc for the first season too. But the thing was is that he wanted to protect his friends because he established a good relationship. He wanted to be peaceful, and he discovered through Roku, told him, like, yeah, bad things are going to happen. You need to step up. And that was the point where he's like, all right, I have to do what I can to help all these people.
Well, it's not just a sense of agency he's missing. He's missing a personality as well. Because every time it's like, Aang, what's going on? People will literally tell us how he feels. He never, like, expounds on, like, what he's going through. It's like, the dragon was like, oh, you grieve for the loss of your family, of the nomads. I'm like,
well, I'm glad you told me that.
I'm like, really? You're not gonna ever like show him like really mourning, like maybe they'll hold Monk Gyatso's necklace. He's been holding on to this for a while.
Well, they did do that, but then it's just like they still tell you anyway. It kind of baffles me how Sokka, kind of what direction Sokka was given, because he doesn't
have one.
If you look at the show, Sokka is definitely a distinguished character who has like a sense of like, you understand what he's like. He's sarcastic, he's witty, he's headstrong and stubborn.
Sokka in this movie doesn't know what he's doing. There's legit scenes where he's supposed to be listening to a conversation. He'll look down, then like look, it's like.
But have you seen like the other times when he's like in the background, his eyes are just like.
But he clearly is not getting any direction of what he's supposed to be doing. I don't think there's anything that like really stands out to me here though. I was like, maybe if the bending was like technically amazing, which it is not. It is boring as shit to watch. Airbending looks terrible. The acting is not great. The plot is laughable. It feels like a speed run of the original show where you're just trying to get through beats and not the actual events of why these things matter.
Yeah.
Then when it comes to a final conclusion, it's like, okay, let's get this big final moment. And the kid has no idea what he's supposed to be doing here. Then we're like, okay, let's end on a sequel hook. And it's like, wow.
Underwhelming.
Is that it? Feels like an obligation. Like, well, we had this big, very popular cartoon series. We might as well make this into
There's a fan base. Let's exploit it.
Basically, he's like, oh yeah, Sozin's Comet, 3 years. We don't know what a Sozin's Comet is.
They don't explain it, and he's just like, it makes us powerful, and we will win. Oh, I'm glad that we got this now.
Again, this movie cost $150 million, and it feels like it was made for a third of that. It's just that kind of movie, guys. Like, I tried to make a reaction video for this, just like put on my channel.
Sure.
And within 10 minutes, I was looking at my phone, I was like, yeah, I can't do this. Sorry, guys, I can't react to this video because there's just nothing there.
I find it strange that we haven't brought this up yet, but I feel like this is a prime example of it shows the creators kind of just like blitzing through the story. What do you think of when you think of the jail for earthbenders? Well,
it was this, in the original, it was this giant metal prison made at the middle of the ocean, so earthbenders had no earth to control.
Yeah.
And so to break out, they had to use coal to control, which is a very minimal resource that they have, but they still used it to their best ability.
And it still shows the threat of the Fire Nation, the tactics that they're able to use, and it shows how dire of a situation they were in and how bleak of a situation those prisoners were. So what did the movie do?
Open air concentration camp.
In the middle of the forest, where the earth is around you.
And they said, oh, the Fire Nation broke our spirit. If they said, like, they're holding our wives and children hostage, okay, I believe you now why you would stay here and do nothing. But it's like, oh no, they just broke us.
We're depressed now.
We give up.
We're just here. And it's like, there's like, what? 1, 2, 3, 4, like 6 Fire Nation dudes and like like 80 prisoners. I'm very confused why they would just be like, yeah, it's the end. I'm done.
But we skipped over the best line in the movie.
Are you an Avatar boy?
No.
That's my favorite.
It's the one where, like, that kid he was bending rocks at us.
They really hurt.
1, 2, 3. It really hurt. There's so many scenes where I can't tell if they're playing it for comedy or it's just bad direction and editing.
No, but but the scene afterwards was intentional comedy where Katara freezes Sokka. Didn't you laugh at that?
No.
But that was intentional.
I know, and it was awful.
But it was intentional. You're supposed to laugh.
The funniest thing in the movie was that line, and then in a scene that should not have had comedy in it, the dome finally rose out, he has Aang trapped in it. Sokka just goes, Katara, don't hit that. Quick cut to her just banging it against it. Then 2 strikes in. The thing bursts open and shoots a blast of air, and she just goes flying into Sokka. I was like,
Katara, do not hit that spear!
I was laughing so hard,
That's my favorite edit. Katara, don't hit it.
I couldn't tell if that was supposed to be serious. I can't. That's how bad the tone is for this movie, where there are comedic moments, and
Just not the way you thought.
And I can't tell if they were meant to be funny, or they were just accidents.
I think your major criticism is the bending. I think the one thing that kind of hinders the bending and that why it looks so slow, it's because M. Night Shyamalan or the director of photography or whoever was involved in shooting really wanted to use a lot of one takes. And one takes are nice. They're interesting. They're very creative. If you apply them in a very interesting space, they can be used very well, like 1917 or...
They're very easy to fuck up, though. That's the very short end of the stick.
Or Inspector, or in other very interesting locations you can do a one take. The problem is when you're implementing action sequences in one takes is that you have to make sure that everything works correctly. And if there's one person that misses their mark, or if there's or if the camera's not moving in the right direction or is moving too slowly, minor issues, if those build up in your shot, you have to redo it again, or you're just gonna have to go with the shot. And it clearly shows in a lot of these one takes where it's just like a lot of actors awkwardly standing around waiting for their mark before they move on to the next sequence within the shot. And it just looks slow, and it looks very limited.
There's no momentum or intensity to these scenes, because I know one take that I'm sure you've all seen. It's where all the earthbenders are stomping on the ground for this one rock to then get thrown out of Firebender, where it just holds on that thing for so long for it to go to when it's pushed.
Because they got to make sure camera gets to the right position.
It would still look awful if you cut that into 3 different places.
Sure.
But there would be some kinetic energy. Here it just takes so long. It feels like you're just doing setup. It feels like a play.
Yeah, exactly. It feels like theater. And then I think another controversial thing that this film does that is kind of questionable. They do have an explanation for it.
Josh, what does this movie do that isn't controversial?
But I think the most controversial is probably the style of firebending that they use and how they implement it. Because in the show, firebenders are just able to do it, able to create fire through their chi. Whereas in the show, that's apparently rare. And so not a lot of them do it. And they just take it from a source of fire and they play around with it.
Allegedly, they did this because they didn't want fire to be too OP, which I call complete horseshit on.
But that's also the point, is that it's supposed to show the strength of the Fire Nation by how they're able to use their element for dominance. Mm-hmm. But if you level the playing field, then what's the threat?
I feel like they made Fire Nation wimpier just so they have an excuse to make Earth and Water be so much worse.
It doesn't really enhance anything.
No. Feels like it's just a cost-cutting measure.
Clearly, because if you've seen any of the background fighting, all the firebenders fighting all the waterbenders, it's just swords and spears. It's nothing bending. It's you rarely see benders fight each other, which is the point of the show. It's what we're wanting to watch.
I knew this was going to be awful. This is why I never saw it for years. For years, I've never seen this movie.
I'm glad that I brought this up.
I always knew it was going to be bad. I saw the trailers. I knew what it was going to be. So I didn't watch it. Guys, if you ever see something, don't ever hate watch anything, because at the end of the day,
it's just going to waste your time.
You're just going to be giving someone else your money.
Yeah.
So if you want to disagree with something, don't go watch it.
There's a saying where it is, you can you tell Hollywood what you want through your money. So if you want something or a franchise or a movie that you really like, go support it through like seeing it in theaters or buying it on demand or anything like that. But if it's something you don't want to watch, it'd be easy just to not pay for it, because then Hollywood will see that as, all right, they don't like it. Because a lot of good things that don't make money tells Hollywood that, all right, we're not going to make that anymore. Well, Chorus, is there any last words you want to say on the Last Airbender movie? Any last thoughts?
Guys, just don't.
I think it's a very interesting piece to learn about in terms of like how to adapt and how not to adapt. I'm curious what the Netflix show, what that will be like in the future, if they're going to learn from this movie or not. I'm curious whether live action Avatar is a curse or not. Seems like no matter what you do, if you try to do it in live action, it never works out.
Golden rule is, if you're gonna change it from medium, so if you take up something in a book, move it to a TV show, you have the addition of film. So you can't do all the things, you have to play to the strengths of film.
Yes.
Books, it's like, okay, I can hear the characters' thoughts, know their inner workings of their mind.
And books have limitations in terms of story length.
Yes, but then when it comes to film, you have a lot more limitations to play to. But you also have many strengths. You can have great visuals. You can have a great editing, kinetic, powerful, strong. If you guys have seen Scott Pilgrim versus the World, that's a perfect example of an adaptation that enhances the medium. But you have stuff like Avatar, where it's already in a visual medium. If you suspend your disbelief that, okay, I'm watching a cartoon, it's fucking amazing. It's art in every panel. But here, they didn't want to put in the money. They didn't want to make it so it looked as good or even better than the original. So I'm like, why bother? So, my final spiel: The Last Airbender, the new Netflix one, they're both going to be terrible. But it's only a matter of how much.
Sure. Well, thank you guys so much for watching our rendition, our take on The Last Airbender movie. I don't think I'll ever watch the movie again. I don't know about you.
I might get high and try to do another reaction video, but that's about it.
That would be fun. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're wondering, hey Josh, are you going to do like a video where you talk about Korra with Chorus? Well, funnily enough, if you actually click the link right here,
let's get to that good shit.
It'll take you right over to our video where we talk extensively about the entire series of Korra. So please do. Also support Chorus on his channel over here, link down below.
Subscribe to Josh's as well.
Thank you so much, Chorus. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.